All right, bro. So let me make sure that we're on the same page. You're realizing that you're not going to be able to live your life in the way that society has told you to live your life. You're realizing that you don't fit the cookie cutter mold that you have seen everyone around you following blindly. But maybe you feel a bit trapped because you know that that ain't it for you, but you don't know what is because we have never been shown a different way of doing it. It's either follow the mold of society or basically be unsuccessful. Or maybe you're stuck following that pathway and you're feeling like, is this really it? Is this the best that it gets? I thought that life was going to be more. That feeling is important. We're going to talk about that. Follow that feeling. That was me when I was 20. I lived my entire life up until that point completely following the mold. Party boy, soccer player, going to college, joining the fraternity. I was on my way to get an internship and yada, 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 until I had a big rock bottom experience that completely woke me up to the trance pretty much that I was living my life within. And at that moment, I knew that I could not continue living my life that way. I knew that this was not my path. I didn't know who I was. I was so unfulfilled in my life. And I wasn't down with continuing on the way that I was going. But I didn't know what else was out there. I had never seen any other ways of doing it. I was lost. And I really could have used some guidance. I really could have used a roadmap for how to think about how to live my life now that I knew that this way that I had been indoctrinated my entire life to live wasn't going to cut it for me. And so that's why I'm here today. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Blake Chalfant. I'm 25 years old and I'm a life coach and a content creator that is interested in exploring the edges of human potential. And today I have a very special video for you that is really close to my heart because this is my story. We're going to be exploring why the mainstream path of society isn't working for people, and I'm going to give you a real roadmap for how you can start orienting to your life now, which is a roadmap that I am still using and probably will use for the rest of my life. Now, why am I making this video? I'm making this video, first of all, I see clients and I can't tell you how many clients I'm seeing who are not fitting the mold of society anymore, but who have no roadmap. They don't know what to do and they look at themselves like a failure. Society will label them as a failed launch, as unsuccessful, just because they're not fitting a pathway that, as we'll get into later, I don't think works at all. I think the numbers are just going to keep going up and going up and going up. And on the contrary, I have seen so many people within my personal life who are on this mainstream beaten path of society and who it really feels like the spark of their life is going out. Like people from high school who I've talked to years later, and it's just like, where are you? Like, who is my friend? And I just feel this energy of acclimating and adjusting to the way that things are and getting serious with life because this is the best that it gets. And it breaks my heart because there's so much more out there. And yes, that is what is normal right now, but that doesn't mean that that's natural. That doesn't mean that's healthy. And that doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. And I think, why do it that way if there are other ways of doing it, which may be harder, which may call you into who you are more, but 100% it's worth it. So that's what we're here to get into today. I already shared a bit about my story, but I'll just say it again. I was the classic kid that you would have looked at that has it all together. Growing up, I was always one of the soccer stars. I played soccer my whole life. I always had friends. I was always in the partying and the cool kids club. And I was smart. I was getting good grades. If I wanted to, I easily could have gone through college and then gotten an internship and then probably gotten a really high paying job right out of college in the corporate world. But there was something within me that just knew that wasn't my thing. It was like, that feels easy. That feels predictable. I feel like I'm here for more, even though at the time I couldn't put words to that. And I didn't really fully feel that way until I had a rock bottom experience in my freshman year of college. I was partying a ton. It was kind of getting out of control. And looking back, I was just so disconnected from myself. I didn't know who I was. I was doing all these things, living a life that I didn't feel connected to at all, that wasn't making me happy. But I also didn't have the ability to feel what I was feeling, and I was so distracted that I didn't even know. So it took some pretty intense experience for me to like basically be shaken by life and saying, look at this stuff. You don't like your life. And so anyway, I ended up transferring after my first year of college. COVID happened, which also helped me a bit. But I ended up transferring to a new school. And when I think back to that person who had the experience of, okay, the way that I was going, that's not my life. But I don't know who I really am. I don't really know how to live my life now. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do in terms of career, which, just to speak on that, we're told that we are supposed to figure it out. So what do? We sit at home and we just think, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? We make a list. What do I want to do? This would be cool. This would be cool. This would be cool. And I just think that's a horrible way to go about it. So even for some of you who maybe had a similar experience where you realize that that path isn't the path for me, but who are now just sitting here trying to figure it out, and then you're getting down on yourself because you don't know when you're just trying to think about it. I don't think that works. I'm going to introduce a new way of going about it, but it's like, continue to move forward with your life, trying different things, building momentum in your life, and trusting that you're going to figure it out as you go. So I just want to give all of you permission who maybe don't know right now. It's okay. You don't need to know this cultural narrative that you're supposed to know somehow. It's such bullshit. I think most people who think that they know what they want to do in college, I'm going to go into business, whatever, they're just doing what they think they should do. So when I think about that 20-year-old version of me after everything that happened, what did he really need to hear? He probably needed to hear that you're okay. Like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be good. I know it's really challenging right now. I know you're holding a lot. I know you have a lot of pressure in your life to figure things out. I know you're probably comparing yourself to your peers about how they're doing it. Maybe they're crushing it. They're just right along their path and they're going to make it just fine. It's okay. You're okay. I promise you, you're going to figure this out. The broken path. So why isn't it working? I thought I was going to spend time on this, but I actually don't think I want to spend that much time, because if you're watching this, you probably already have a sense that that pathway, the mainstream beaten path, isn't for you. You know that there is more out there for you. You know that you're called to do more. You know that you are craving a deeper sense of meaning and fulfillment that that pathway just was not bringing you. What I want to say about that is to trust that. That feeling, that lack of fulfillment, that lack of meaning, that's not random. That's so important to follow. That's your inner compass pointing you in a new direction. And now maybe you're in the place where you followed that inner compass, and now you feel like you're in this deserted wasteland. You're like, what the heck am I supposed to do now? What do I follow? So that's where we're at. Okay, now for the good stuff. I'm going to say a couple of things that might feel quite out there, but don't worry. I'm going to bring them back down and I'm going to ground them so they make sense and so they're practical. You ready? You have a unique blueprint within you. And that is what initially sent you the signal that that path that you were on just wasn't going to work. That whisper that you heard, that little ache inside that you could just feel something was off, that you maybe feel still right now. That is your blueprint knocking on your door saying, listen to me. Listen to me. Wake up. You're on the wrong path. You're living out of alignment with who you are, and it is trying to bring you back into alignment. That's what happened when I had my rock bottom experience in my freshman year of college. The way that I see it is that life was trying to bring me back into alignment with who I was, but because I was so distracted, I was so numbing myself, I was so out of touch with myself, it needed to do something quite drastic in order for me to finally wake up and say, okay, I hear you. The idea of having a unique blueprint is such a foreign, crazy idea for so many people, because within our culture, we have lost touch with the essence of education. So let me explain that. The root word of education in Latin is educare, which roughly translates to draw out. This was the classic. You would have a apprentice with a master, and they would try and draw out your unique, essential wisdom, your gifts, the things that are specifically unique to you. They would try and draw them out. This was the education of the Greeks. They knew this. They knew that we each held something that is specific and individual to us, and it was the job of education to help draw that out, to help bring that forth. Now, I don't know if you know this, but our educational system was based on the Industrial Revolution, where we were trying to basically make factory workers. We were trying to make obedient, docile humans who could take orders in an assembly line. And you know this experience, right? In all of our school, We're just being filled with facts. We're just studying to get the good grade on the quiz, and that's that. And Seth Godin, one of the most famous kind of marketers and writers, he has this incredible quote that says, in all of our years of schooling, we are never asked a question that they didn't already know the answer to. We're never asked a question that they didn't already know the answer to. I mean, that's such a powerful quote to me. And it speaks to this idea that our education is based on completely filling us up with their facts, with what they want us to know, what they want us to learn. We're never asked a question that they didn't already know the answer to. That's literally the opposite of drawing out, having people ask us questions that they're genuinely curious about, having people reflect to us, oh, wow, you're really interested in that. You're really good at that. Very few of us have had that. And so the idea of the blueprint is so foreign because of this, because our culture goes against it. And this is also why so many people are just so lost blindly following this mainstream path, because we have never had the opportunity, the nurturing, our environment to help us uncover who we are, what is unique to us, what are we uniquely gifted at, what are we uniquely interested at, which is also why when we get to 18 and culture asks us to know exactly how we want to spend the rest of our lives, most people have no fucking clue. So you can think about your blueprint as the intersection of your lived experience, all the stories that make up who you are, all of the hard things you've been through, all of your wounds, all the pain, which that is every single one of you, your unique interests, your unique curiosities, your unique gifts because you have them, and whatever the part of us is that goes beyond our environmental upbringing, beyond the conditioning, whatever the thing within us was that was already there when we were born. You can call it a soul. You can call it whatever you want. You can also think about that as whatever the place within us that knows, the place within us that somehow knows what to do. That ache within you when something was out of alignment. What is that? That whisper that whispers to you about what to do, about that you need to leave the job, that you need to leave the relationship, whatever it is. The place within you that knows. How do you explain that? What is that? There's something within us that knows, that goes beyond logic, that goes beyond the pros and the cons, that goes beyond our environment. You can call it listening to your gut, but there is some part of us that goes beyond. So that's your blueprint. Now, what do we do with this idea of the blueprint? Now let's get into the practicalities of how to actually follow this. You are the product. Within this mainstream path, we're just cogs in a machine. We show up to the work that we feel okay about. We do the to-do list that our boss is telling us to do. We go home. We distract ourselves, we scroll, we watch Netflix, and we show up at work today. It's very much this okay of mediocrity, of okayness, of like, I guess this is the best that it gets, so I'm going to try and have fun on the weekends with my friends and try to pretend that I don't kind of hate my life, okay? This new way of being is investing in yourself. It is investing in the alignment with who you are. Remember, we talked about how that moment when you're like, that's not for me. That was you coming more into alignment with yourself. And so we are following that rabbit hole to see how deep it goes. Now, here are a few things that you will be doing for the rest of your life if you take this advice. Number one, tell yourself the truth. None of this matters if you're not telling yourself the truth. So admit to yourself. What are the things that you are not being fully honest with yourself? Maybe you know that you need to leave the relationship. Maybe you just need to admit that you feel kind of lost. Maybe you need to leave the job. Maybe you need to acknowledge all of the horrible habits in your life that are just downward spiraling, right? All of these things. It's so wild to think that we're just lying to ourselves. We all kind of do it. So just being honest. So get out a sheet of paper and just write. Tell yourself the truth. It's just for you. But you can't change what you don't acknowledge even exists. And that's really the first domino to fall for many people. I love this idea that sometimes in order to find the way, you need to admit that you're lost. So it's okay. Okay, number 2 is investing in behavior change, okay? So every single one of you could write down on a sheet of paper things that you're doing that you know are not good for you, and things you know that are really good for you that you are not doing. So behaviors that you know you want to install in your life, behaviors you know you want to get rid of in your life, okay? This alone is going to start to churn so much up for you. But look, behavior change you will be doing for the rest of your life. And we're investing in ourselves now. And so start to invest in your behaviors, because if you think about it, your life is just a combination of all of your habits. And so slowly we're going to start building good habits again. If you want a good way to do this, get out a sheet of paper, make a tracker where you can check it off every day, and start with maybe 1 or 2 behaviors. Start slow, because we can continue to add over time. And once you have the habit, you no longer have to think about it, so we can move on to different things. Don't try and do everything at the same time. Don't give up when you fail, because you will fail. You will not do it perfectly. So get back on the horse. Other thing, invest in your learning. Okay, so much of the game we're playing now is drawing out. Remember, drawing out who we are. So part of that is going to be behavior change, because when you do behavior change, you're also going to trigger yourself, because there are certain behaviors that you have in your life that are almost the safety blankets around you. Maybe it's overeating, Netflix, smoking weed, whatever it is. These are the safety blankets that are covering up some deeper parts of you. So as you start to pull at it, you're almost like poking the bear. So there's going to be so much that just naturally starts to happen and move as you start to change your behavior. Behavior change is also going to increase your confidence. You're going to feel good because you're doing something good for yourself. Okay? So number 2 is investing in your learning. And what I mean by that is starting to feed your interest and your curiosity. And based on your interest and curiosity, starting to learn about them, reading books, listening to podcasts, going to events, yada, yada, yada. Because those are entirely unique to you. Those aren't just random things. Those are important things to follow, because over time, I think if you start to continue to follow your interests, your curiosities, what you like to learn about, it's probably going to start to inform what you want to do with your life. And so I promise you, feeding that is incredible. Learning is an infinite game. You're going to be learning for the rest of your life. Further, think about it like you are literally building your internal library. So over time, the more that you learn, you are just building on top of this knowledge base. And then 5 years down the road, you are someone with so much knowledge, so much wisdom based on the things that you like, based on the things that you are interested in. And that process of learning, of following your interests, it's not just for the end result, because you are going to love the process. It is inherently enjoyable to feed your curiosity for your interests. And if you don't know where to start somewhere. Pick a couple things and see how it goes, because they 100% exist within you. It's just a matter of starting to find them, because most of us have been disconnected from them for a long, long time. A couple other things. As you're learning about your interests and your curiosities, you're also going to start to build skills, learning applicable things that people would pay you for. And so over time, based on your interests, your curiosities, what are the skills that go alongside of that? And just start building compounding skills. Remember, we're investing in ourselves. We are the product now. And so basically, when you follow your interests and your curiosities and you learn about them, you're building skills over time. Pretty quickly, you're going to become, expert level in whatever you're doing. You're going to become one of the people who has something to say, who has something to offer based on what you are doing. Okay. The other couple things to tie in here are doing things that scare you / you are resistant towards. And it's even better if the things that you are resistant and scared to do, you also sometimes, somehow feel called to doing them. There's a deep curiosity about doing them. If you can find those things and start to doing them, your life is going to change so drastically. Because as Steven Pressfield talks about, the things that we care about the most, the things that are probably the most important to who we are going to be the things that we resist doing the most, because there's so much on the line, because we don't want to fail at them, because we care. So finding those things, doing the things that scare you, which again, there's probably going to be a lot on the list that I've already talked about that scare you. Habits to get rid of that you're resistant to getting rid of. Conversations that you need to have with people that you are terrified to have. Maybe starting a YouTube channel and starting to talk. All of these things. Doing things that you're scared of. Doing things that you are in resistance towards. If you follow this blueprint, you start to do all of these things. Number one, you are going to create so much momentum in your life. Like So much momentum that you can't even imagine what your life's going to be like in 2 months. You're going to be a different person. You're going to be seeing life through a different lens when you do that. Also, everything that I just shared, they are compounding behaviors. What I mean is that they grow through time. So no matter what you're here to do, no matter job, whatever, if you follow this blueprint in 5 years, you are 100% going to be so much further on your path. You're going to be a better person. You're probably going to be enjoying life more. For sure, you're going to be enjoying life more. If you're following your interests, you're feeding your curiosity, you're learning, you're growing, you're doing the things that are scary. Because doing the things that are scary, doing the things that are meaningful to you, that's where aliveness is. That's where the currency of life lives. It's in those things because they're going to take courage. They're going to require you to do risky things. But whether you're going to find a job and work for someone else, whether you're going to start your own business, whether you're going to do something similar to what I'm doing, when you're following your curiosity, you're learning, you're growing your skills, naturally, at some point, you're just going to land in a job. And guess what? Because of how you were following those threads, because of how you were following your blueprint to get to that point, you're also going to be doing what you deeply care about. You're going to be doing things that you're deeply interested in. You have set yourself up for so much success because you didn't follow a job out there. You followed it in here. You followed that blueprint that is so deeply connected to who you are. So I want to leave you with two things. One is one of my favorite quotes. Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So many of the people who have done something great or have had breakouts in what they are doing, many people see as overnight successes, but that's never the case. Sometimes, but usually not the case. That's not what we're going to rely on. It's a bad business plan. What happened is they put in the reps time and time and time and time again. Life didn't respond in the way that they wanted to. They didn't get the results that they wanted to, but they kept going anyways. They put in the reps. They were doing the work behind the scenes. And then one day, probably because of all the momentum that they were generating, there was a force field. There was just an aura around them. They got an incredible opportunity, whether it was to go on a podcast, they met someone, they had a conversation. When they had that conversation, when the luck wave came, they had been doing so much already. They had been building for so many years that they were ready for the moment. And then boom, they took off because they were ready, because they had been building for years and years. And that's how I'm looking at it. I am building and building, and I know these luck waves are inevitable, and I've already had some, but they are inevitable. Naval Ravikant talks about this, and it's incredible. And again, we're not just dragging through our life because we hate it until we find the luck wave. Everything that I just shared, the journey, the process is inherently enjoyable because you're feeding different parts of who you are. So I hope this was helpful, Mr. 20-year-old self, because I know that you had high hopes when you were 20. I know that you needed direction. I know that you were looking for guidance and you didn't really know how to think about your life. You didn't really know how to think about your future, and you were stuck trying to ask these huge questions of, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? What am I here to do? Versus starting somewhere and trusting that in the journey of the momentum, the pathway is going to be revealed, which, by the way, this is how I've seen it in so many people, that as we start to build the momentum, as we start to poke the bear, as we start to do these things, the pathway becomes clear. We get the breadcrumbs, and I don't know if this is what I'm here to do, but I know that I'm living in alignment with who I am. And as I'm doing that, I know that the things that I'm doing are going to change. So also just taking it lightly, like you don't have to find the one thing, because usually that one thing is actually going to turn into another thing, and then another thing, and then another thing. So it's really about finding the pathway and going from there.